This is Gemara in Gittin Daf Pei Aleph as we basically wrap up the 8th parak, Baruch Hashem, and segue into the 9th and final parak of this Masechta. We begin with the Mishnah on the top of Pei Aleph Amin Aleph. It says the Mishnah, Kosav Legarish Es Ishtai. Someone writes a get to divorce his wife, Vinimlach, and he changes his mind. Beishamai Oimrim Apostle Min HaKahuna, says the Beishamai, the mere writing of the get asers her from subsequently marrying a Kayin. Beisilal Oimrim Aval Bishenasnu La Al Tanai, but V'loi Nasa Atanai, Loi Apostle Min HaKahuna, the exact diametrically opposed idea to Beishamai. Beishamai comes along and says the halacha that a woman is not, that a kohen, is not allowed to marry a grusha, is even if there's no real gerushin. Just at some level, the get was written, that itself is enough to basel, and Beisil says, no, you wrote it, you give it, you just didn't fulfill the Tanai. That's enough to say that she is, even still, she is not basel from kahuna. Says the Gemara, Shalach le Rav Yosef Reid Rav Menashe Midvil, Lishmuel. So Rav Yosef sent to Shmuel the following: Yilamdenu Rabbeinu Yatalav Kol Ishplani Kohen. If there is a call, if there's a rumor that goes out, if everyone hears that what a certain man who is a Kohen Kosav Gel Ishtei or to get to his wife, if Yosheves Atach Tov Umisham Shasai, and yet this woman that everyone thinks just got divorced is still living and serving her husband. Ma'u, what is the halacha? What's the question? The question is, do we say that it's the case of do we say that they have to get divorced? Do we say that because he's a kohen, therefore they're not allowed to stay together? Or do we say that he is aser? Why is he aser? Because she is a grusha. Or maybe not. So shalach le takes it. She has to leave. We have to check into this. Mahi, says the Gemara, is the question if we should mevatel the call, or do we not uproot the rumor? Nardai was the place of Shmuel, but we know a rule that we learned, we're going to learn in a few more days, that in Narda, when there was a call, they didn't try to undo the call. So says the Gemara, Ella, what's the Shaila? Di karu l'nesina ksiva. The question is, do we refer to giving a get as a writing a get? That showing that he actually divorced his wife. Says the Gemara, Chikar l'nesina ksiva. L'ksiva gufa, miloi akaru la ksiva. Do we not call ksiva? Says the Gemara, in the Miglai Milsa, the Karl and Esina Ksiva, Dilma Nasan Kamri. Perhaps what happened is that he meant to give the get, and Teitze she has to get divorced. So says the Gemara, okay, Dilma Nasan Kamri, Teitze, Vam Ravashi, Call the Basan Isuin, Laichai Shino, we don't have to be worried about such a call. Says the Gemara, you're right. But my Teitze Nami, Teitze Misheni. Imkain asked the Gemara, how could he do this if he forced her to get divorced in the second one? Then any children that were born from the first marriage, people are going to say they're illegitimate. Answers the Gemara, even the Misheni udmafkin Allah. Umeirisha loy mafkin Allah, says the Gemara. No, this is such an odd story that it helps us. Since it's only from the second one that she has to leave and not from the first one, people are going to assume that right before he died, he divorced her. Therefore, we do not have to be concerned that people are going to think the child is a mamzer. We continue about 20 lines down. Omar Rabba Babar Chana. Rabba Chana comes along and it comments on the din of Beishamai in the Mishnah. Beishamai, who taught us that the mere writing to give the get is enough, even if you never actually give it to pasol the woman from kahuna. So Amar Rabbi Rav Chanan Rav Yechon Mishum Rav Yehuda Bar Eloi Ba Urei Shaloi Kedairais Arishainim Dairais Achrainim. See that the earlier generations are not like the later generations. Dairais Arishainim. What does that refer to? Beishamai. Tyrus Achreinim, what does that refer to? Rav Daisa Detan, you've learned in a Braisa. Shavua Oicheles Bitruma Diver Rav Daisa. Even a Shavua, even a woman who is captured is allowed to eat Truma, says Rav Daisa. Amar Rav Daisa, he explains, Chima Sela. Arve, what do these Arabs that captured this girl do with her? Because they play with her between her breasts, because they play with her, they don't actually mizana with her. But that itself, possibly min kuna? No, it's not going to possibly from kuna. That's the reason why she's allowed to keep on eating truma. Continuing the theme, Tyrus Arishainim Machlisen Beirozin Derech Track Sign. They would specifically bring the fruit through their main entranceway. Why? As one's produce is only obligated in Meiser when it sees the Penei Abayis. So they would dafka go out of their way to create a Chiva Meiser. But Tyrus Achrainim, the exact opposite. Machlisa Beirozin Derech Gagois, they bring in the fruit from the roof, Derech Karfivais, in order Kedei. Lepatra mina meiser. Dam Raviyana ina tevil mischayiv meiser. Like we just said, sheyira b'nei abayis. Shenemar, as the Torah says, ba'arti hakodesh min abayis. So therefore, they can circumvent the entire obligation. Rav Yechon Amar afilu chatzar kaivas obligates a meiser. Shenemar v'achlu b'sharecha v'savayu. So that's just the comparison between the earlier generations and the latter generations. As we see, Beis Shammai from the earlier generations is being extremely machmir, but unfortunately, as the generations elapsed, numerous kulas crept in. We continue with the Mishnah on the bottom of Pei Aleph Amud Aleph, says the Mishnah. Which of course he was not supposed to do. You're not supposed to be misyached after Gerushin, but he did. We don't assume anything incorrect happened. They got divorced. You don't need a new get. Excuse me. They need another get. Emasai, says the Gemara Mishnah. It's only if the Gerushin happened after they were fully married. But Umaydim, everyone agrees, you'll need a new get. Why not? They never actually were intimate. They never lived together. So if we're dealing with a couple that have lived together, therefore we have to be worried that if they are secluded with each other, what might come to happen? They might come to sleep together, which thereby would cause a new kedusha. That's why you need a new get. But if not, if it's just Erusin, then we don't have such a concern. So says the Gemara, let's understand a little bit deeper. What is this machlekes Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel? Beis Shammai is saying you need a second get. Beis Hillel is saying no. So Amar Rabba Bar Chana, the last line of Pei Aleph Amar Aleph Amar Rav Yechon machlekes. What is the debate? The Beis Shammai says you don't need a second get. Beis Hillel says you do. Amar Rabba Chana Amar Rav Yechon. And yes, we have had this way back in Ayin Gimel. The machlekes b'sharua shenivla, when he sees his husband and his ex-wife, he sees that they actually were together. In such a scenario, the Beis Shammai Savri, Beis Shammai says, they didn't have in mind necessarily to get remarried. They were used to living with each other, so they once again slept with each other, but not necessarily did they do it as a form of kedushin, says Beis Shammai. Rather, it is zenos, and therefore you do not need another get. Whereas Beis Hillel Aimrim, 2 lines down, Peham and Beis Hillel Savri, Ein Adamai Sabila Zenos. No, one does not intend for his biyat to be a zenos. And rather, what does he have in mind? What if they slept together? It meant to be a new kedushin, and that's what Beis Hillel says. You need a new get. Aval, that's where there's a machlokes. Aval loyru hashenivalof. They didn't see them actually sleeping together. Divrei hakol. Einay tzricha imenu get sheni. This is how Rav Yechon explains the din of the Mishnah. So Tanan, 4 lines down, Pei Aleph and Aleph asks the Gemara. Umaydim, and everyone agrees, b'nizkarshem in a erusin. Why not? Because they're not familiar with each other. Asks the Gemara. If you actually saw them sleeping together, who cares? They are familiar, they're not familiar, they used to be together. Lamaisa, you saw them having tashmish. Elamas Nisan Mishalai Ruach Nivla. You have to say the Mishnah is indeed a case where you didn't actually see them getting together. Rav Yochanan Damar Gaitan, and Rav Yochanan says they saw them actually being together. It's going like the following Braisa Ditanya. Amar Rav Shimon ben Elazar Leinechlu Beishami Beisilel Ad Shalai Ruach Nivla Shein Tzichamena Get Sheni. If they do not actually see an act of intercourse, then they do not need another get. Alma Nechliku. What is the machlokes? Al Sharuah Shenivla, we actually saw them being together. Beishamei Aimrim Adamai Bilas Bilas Zunos. Beisila Aimrim Ein Adamai Bilas Bilas Zunos. Umas Nisan Du Kimna Bilai Ruah Shenivla. But my pligi. Says the Gemara, okay, Gavaldik, this could explain to us what's going on in the Braisa. But Lamaisa, how do we learn in our Mishnah if there's Lo Ruach Shenivla? What is the machlokes? Explains the Gemara 2 lines from the white lines. The Ika. Eidei Yicha. That's the case. You saw them being secluded. Bavaleka Eidei Bia. So it's a fundamental machlokes. Beishami Beis Hillel. Beishami Savi Lamri Yicha Eidei Bia. We do not say that on Eidim that saw someone being misyached, we could assume that they had tashmish. Beis Hillel Savi in the first white line. But Umaidim. They all agree. Ben Iskarsha min a Gittin. Ben Iskarsha min a Erusin. Sheinis Yichemena get Sheni. Why not? The Kiva and the Ein Liba Gaspa Loya Amrina Nene Ede Bia. Asks the Gemara 1 second. Rav Yochanan. Oh, mi Amar Rav Yochanan Achiv Amar Rav Yochanan Lochis Da Mishnah. V'Kidam Asis Mishlai Rosh Nevelos. We have a steer in Rav Yochanan. On one hand he's saying the din he's saying. The other hand it says our Mishnah, which is the same Mishnah. Answers the Gemara Amarai Ninuv. I'll leave it to Rav Yochanan. It's a machlekes Amarayim. Exactly what is the opinion of Rav Yochanan. We continue with the Mishnah. 5 lines into the white lines. Kansa beget keireach. If someone marries a woman that she had been divorced from her previous husband with literally a bald get. What's the halacha? This get is invalid. Get keireach. A bald get. Akol mashlimim alav. What is the halacha? The halacha is everyone can be mashlim. Devir ben nanis. Rav Kiva Aimer. No, ein mashin level kroivim aruyin le'aid maku achav. Is that get kereach? Says the Mishnah. What is this bald get that you're referring to? Kol shekashrav merubin me'idav. There are more folds than there are eidim. And what's going on over here? Rashi explains, which we'll take a moment to see. Rashi will scroll up a little bit. Rashi says get kereach. Mefarish v'seivim masnisan shekashrai. There are more folds than there are Eidim. But Basra Aminan, where does this come from? This comes from a din in Gemara Basra that what? Tikkun Rabbanan get the mikushar, that they had to literally tie up, fold up, and sew up the get. Mishum Kohanim Kapdanim. Kohanim used to get angry. Sheikaisin get pitaom. They were tempered people, and they would get upset at their wife, and they would write l'nushaseim, and they would write again right away. Umischartin lachar zman, and after zman, the kohen would feel bad. He didn't really want to divorce his wife, but we know that halacha, like we saw earlier today, ein yachal lachzir, and a kohen can't remarry his divorcee. Therefore, if they take the lamb get to mikushar, they have to tie up a get. She'ino noich lichtay mehir. It's not easy to write quickly. Shem v'tech kach. And while you're figuring out how to write the get, says Rashi, Yispayis v'chayis v'n edam mibachotz. Now, where do you sign the Edom on the outside? Because of Shita or Ishtai, you have 1 or 2 lines of Karachan and you sew it up. And you tie it up. And they keep on doing, you basically take a piece of paper, and with each fold, the Edom are going to sign it. So what happened in the Mishnah? What happened in the Mishnah is that Akol Mashlim V'Nav, Kiva says no, only Kraivim, again, because it's not the actual integral get. As the get was written, there are Chasumim, there are Edim. This is just an additional witnesses that are involved in such a get. Says the Gemara, my Taima. What is the reason to get Kereach? Gezerah Misham Kulcham. We're afraid that there might be a case in which a husband requires all of them to sign and he won't be able to do it. And that's the reason why even in a case where the husband did not require to have one side, but each fold requires a signature. Get Kereach Hakol Mashlim Alav. Rav Akiva says, the Gemara Avid, my time Oloi. According to Rav Akiva, what is the reason that you cannot use an Eved Kenani? Loi, the Asilamemer, because one might say, Kash Leidus, one might think the Eved now is Kash Leidus. Karev Nami asked the Gemara, Slameir, Kash Leidus, why are we not worried that if you allow a Karev to be the additional signatures, a relative, one might also think they're Kash Leidus? Ella, the Gemara says, you're right, Nubshat. Evid, I know time of the Dam Asla, Sukeli Yochsin. They might think that it is Miyuchas, he has good Yochsin. Gazlan Nami Devar Yochsin Ulis Kasher. Says the Gemara, 1 second, so what about a Gazlan? Alam, Tanan Rav Akiva Aimer, Ein Mashlin Olav. Ella Kareivim Aruyin Leiro Akamachar, someone who could testify elsewhere. In Kareivim Arun Leiro Akamachar, in Gazlan Loi. Ella Eved, I know time a new reason for the Eved does Lamemer Shachuri Shachar, people are going to think you freed him. Gazlan Nami Yos Lamemer Tshuva, and maybe they'll think that the Gazlan did Tshuva and he's no longer sold in slavery. Karov Michael, Lamemer Karov, Kuliyama Yadi, the Karov who everyone knows, but in these cases not necessarily does everyone know. And we continue with the 2 dots, approximately 10 lines into the Y lines. Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rabba, Bar Sheilta, Amar Rav Amnuna Saba, Amar Rav Adar Ava, Gekei Reach Shekashoy Shiva, Ve'edav Shisha. You've 7 folds with 6 witnesses. Shisha ve'edav Chamisha, Chamisha ve'edav Arba, Arba ve'edav Shleisha. In all the cases that you're missing one set of Edim on one fold. Ad kan machlekes ben Nanis Rav Akiva. Till the years machlekes ben Nanis Rav Akiva. Avol Ksharav Shleisha. If you have 3 ve'edav Shnayim divrei Hakol, ein mashlina love el Karav. The only one who could potentially finish signing it is a Karav. Amle Rav Zera Rav Shitla Mechti. I don't understand. Kol shleishav and mekoshar, any 3 edim on a get that's tied up is kishnayim b'pashatami. It's like 2 edim testifying about a regular get. Ma haslam karov loy, avachanami karov loy. So asks Rav Zera, I don't understand. This should have to conform to the regular dinim of a shliach, which it does not, because usually a karov cannot give testimony. Amar lei. Afle didi kashli, you're right. It's a gavaldik kash. I had as well the same question 10 lines down. First one line is lididi. Ushael Taylor Rav Amnuna Rav Adi Rav Amar Lei Hanoch L'Shleishav Kusha Delav Daraisa. This one case when there's 3 folds is not a din daraisa, so don't worry about it. Tanami Achi, a source. Kakei Reach Sharav Shiva Vedav Shisha Shisha Vedav Chamisha Chamisha Vedav Arba Arba Vedav Shleisha. Ad kan machlekes ben Anis Rav Akiva. Hishlam Alav Eved. Then ben Anis Rav Vlad Kasher Rav Akiva Rav Vlad Mamzer. Aval, but in a scenario of Kshur and Shleish of Eidim Shleim, when there's 3 folds and 2 Eidim, Divrei Hakol, Ein Mashlim Alav, you don't have to be Mashlim it. Ella. Ella, I apologize for that minor delay. That was scary. Ella Karav. Rav Yosef, 3 lines from the bottom of the Alvin Beis Masni kosher. Rav Yosef learned in the Mishnah that it's going to be kosher. And what? V'atanya Karav. But the Gemara says, what do you mean it says Karav? It says Karav. Amar Abba B'tani kosher. Amar Rav Yechanan. 2 lines from the bottom. Lo yichshiru bo yelei echad karov bilvad avul trey. Once there's 2, loy, why not? Because again, almost like limit trey karov v'chad kasher. It may come to be a different star, be kosher with karov. Rav Ashi, and it says Rav Ashi again. Masnisa nami dekar. Mishnah is precise. We turn over to Pei Beis Amid Aleph. What is the raya from our Mishnah? To come daleg Vitani. The Mishnah skips and writes chad shema mina. From here we're going to have a raya. They only able to have up to 1 relative sign on this get. Kei reach Amar Rabaya shema mina. And with this we conclude. I karov chasam ibayi bein betchila bein be'emsa bein b'seif. In the case that we're having a karov sign on the get, you can sign wherever you want. Mimai. Because they didn't have a set place. Furthermore, we learn you need 3 of these signatures in the get verified. If you're going to tell me you need them to be in order, they should have a special place. I karov, betzchilish with the karov first. Says the Gemara, maybe we should be kosher with many of them. Says the Gemara, Hadron aloch hazayrek. Let's just speak out one more time. Excuse me. The reason that we did not give them a specific place is the raya that only is able to be one extra karev that's able to sign on this get. Ravami, husband to Ravami, Amr Lei, Sevish Lam Eved, Min Ashok, go get an Eved from the Shuk, and he'll be the one to be Maslim, the get. Hadron Allah Chazayrik, we should come back and do an incredible Chazara, and B'siyat Dishmaya. We plow forwards as we finally, it's been quite a journey, 3.5 months. We'll close in on the Masechta starting tomorrow, and Daf Pei Beis, B'siyata Dishmaya.